What is the science saying about gender identity?
Science says there are only two genders. Please, enlighten us.
Gender is something that is taught to us. It's not something that we are born with.
Yes, it is.
Gender is taught to us from the moment we are born. They give us, little hats, little blue or pink hats, little blankets.
Look, I'm honestly not trying to make this sound like a straw man argument, but did you just say that people's genders are based on what clothes they wear?
And a lot of people make it uncomfortable to talk about because some people are uncomfortable discussing why they are how they are. It's really hard to get that kind of self-awareness.
No, the only people who make it uncomfortable to talk about are people like you. Because when someone brings up science, you all go, "Oh my god, transphobe!" And that doesn't help any sort of rational discourse.
So think about it. Pink for boys, blue for girls, right? Think about it. Did I say that right? Should it be the other way around? Blue for boys, pink for girls? Does that make more sense? It really doesn't. And in fact, in the Women's Journal in the early 1900s, pink was a more decided and stronger color, is more suitable for the boy, while blue, which is more delicate and dainty, is prettier for the girl. That was written in the Women's Journal, early 1900s.
Citation needed. And I see that in your video, out of all the citations, that's not one of them. I wonder why.
These things change over time. Culture determines gender. And a 2010 study of transgender people said that they knew their gender identity by age 5.
And I totally agree with you there. I'm pretty sure most genuine transgenders know instinctively from a very early age that they're born in the wrong body, be it male to female or female to male. My argument is that there's still only two genders.
So to imply, as some do occasionally, that transgender is a new thing, it's not new. We're just slowly starting to understand it. Gender is put upon us, and the fluidity of that gender is because we grow and we age and we change.
It is not put upon us. We are born with it. It's part of us. Jesus Christ!
So we have the biological gender. We've got gender identity, which includes transgender. We've got gender roles. Those are very important for a lot of different reasons, but they're also not important.
Well, what are they? Important or not important? Come on. Explain to us. Mansplain to us. Go on, you can do it.
Sexual orientation, which includes heterosexual, bisexual, homosexual, asexual.
No, they are not. They are sexual preferences.
So let's break this down scientifically.
I can't wait for this.
While you're in the womb, every fetus is a female. They all start that way. The Y chromosome is added at the right time, which makes the body present as male. But even then, sometimes things don't develop properly.
Repeat that for us, please.
But even then, sometimes things don't develop properly.
But even then, sometimes things don't develop properly.
Things don't develop properly. That's called birth defects. It's not a new gender.
The clitoris comes from the same fetal tissue as a penis. It's called a homologous organ, which means that sometimes the clitoris is oversized and sometimes the penis is dramatically undersized.
Yes, but that, again, doesn't mean that it's a different gender. It just means it's smaller than average or larger than average. You're not counting the fact that there's ovaries involved and testicles. They are also what makes a man or a woman, not just the size of the penis or clitoris.
Sometimes both exist, which is a hermaphrodite or an intersex situation. This happens quite often.
Again, this is where your science is way off, because true hermaphroditism is extremely rare. In fact, there's only 350 to 450 recorded cases where they've got both female and male genitalia. I'm talking about not just penis and vagina, but also testicles and ovaries. So seriously, get your science right.
Some animals, not really humans, but some animals are gynandromorphs, which is some cells are male and some cells are female. It sometimes will manifest as, say, a bird that's half one color and half another color. Hyenas, also something from the animal world, Their clitoris is sometimes called a protopenis, again illustrating that these are homologous organs. The protopenis on a hyena can actually get an erection, they can have sex with it. These are female hyenas, and they can even urinate through it.
The question is, can they procreate through them? No! Not a new gender.
So, to imply that sex or gender is fixed and always the same is wrong, because things change, and nature is never 100%.
I'm really trying hard not to make this a video full of insults, questioning your intelligence, or lack of. It's really difficult. Really difficult. And this is coming from a guy that's just sitting here in his fucking living room.
We know that gender isn't tied to physicality because we've seen it in human populations.
It is entirely linked to physicality. That's what makes males males and females females.
Gender roles, which I mentioned earlier, are important because it helps us define what we are supposed to be doing in society, but they're also not important because they are societal creations. Gender roles can hurt people.
No, gender roles cannot hurt people. They're just an idea. And yes, ideas can change. Attitudes can change. You should know this, that females are more nurturing, more caring. They are caregivers by nature. Where men, the old hunter-gatherer sort of thing, go out looking for food, while the mothers stayed at home looking after the young. This is not sexist. This is just the way things have been for a long time. Only recently have things changed where women can do more jobs that were only originally thought of to be men's jobs.
Boys can only be strong action heroes. Only. Even if they don't like that.
No. The only people who say this are people like yourselves who are quoting these imaginary people who say men must be like this, women must be like this.
Think of, movies like Billy Elliot, where he wanted to dance. And he was considered somehow less manly by people in this story.
Wow, you're really using a movie as an example. No, that's an absolutely shite argument. I mean, the whole movie was about the fact that you can be what you want to be, and you don't have to stick to what's traditionally these things. And there's a lot more movies like that as well. No one's expecting every man to be an action hero, just like nobody's expecting every single woman to be a stay-at-home mother.
Girls can only be housewives and homemakers. These are gender roles that people have. Girls must wear shoes which crush their feet.
No, the only people who make women wear shoes that crush their feet are women. They choose to do this. It's called free will. If they want to do that, then that's up to them. No one's making them do it.
Undergarments which cover because modesty, and support in specific ways that may actually be damaging to the girls' bodies.
Bras are not damaging to women's bodies. How dare you call yourself a fucking scientist?
Examples like these are real. Men must work all day, support the family. They should never emote. They should never express feelings.
Again, another straw man argument. No one's saying this, so stop. But it's just typical gender roles. It's not forced. No one's saying you have to do this, you have to do that. No one's saying that.
And in the end, it's all bull anyway.
Oh, fucking channels, bull.
The gender spectrum is another important part of science. It's been studied a long time in psychology.
The gender spectrum studied in psychology. Wow. Much science. Oh yeah.
The gender spectrum, as it was once called, was a spectrum from feminine to masculine. A line that everyone fell on.
Yeah, some boys can be slightly effeminate, some can be really camp. Some women can be slightly tomboyish or completely butch. But again, that's just their personalities. It's not a new gender.
But there's way more than that. No one is 100% feminine, no one's 100% masculine. But the BEM sex role inventory, or BSRI, was a flawed measure and a way to determine whether you were masculine or feminine or somewhere in between, which was called androgynous.
But even androgynous people are still one sex or the other.
And if you didn't fall anywhere on there, you were called undifferentiated. It's bad, because this does not grasp all of the complexity and nuance of gender. Because we're assuming that there's only two right answers and everything else is sort of in between.
No one's assuming anything. Science has proven it. One gender, two genders. That's all.
Better and a more modern way of looking at this is a gender continuum. Because people will change over their lives, they'll identify with different things at different times.
Just because someone's preferences change doesn't mean they've changed gender. I mean, that's like saying because I didn't like chili as a child and now I fucking love it, does that make me Mexican now?
There are a lot of different gender definitions. Agender, or neutral, with no gender.
You mean mentally ill?
Androgynous, which is many genders. Bigender, which is two genders that are combined.
Mentally ill.
Cisgender, which means you identify with the sexual parts that you have, that you were born with.
You mean 98% of us? And yes, I'm aware that the lighting just dramatically changed for this shot, but I had to go back and redo a few things because reasons. Anyway, on with the show.
Gender queer, which means that you're
Attention seeker.
kind of figuring it out still, like gender fluid
Retard.
or gender questioning.
Mentally ill again.
There are all these different terms, more and more and more of them.
I identify as a ger. My preferred pronouns are ger, gers, and gerd.
And they're all important in the gender continuum, and it's confusing. It's really confusing.
It's not confusing at all. It's pretty simple.
But it's valuable because how we identify is important and it's unique to each person and it's going to change throughout your life. You may be born and believe yourself to be cisgender or agender and then later in your life become more androgynous and then even later in your life become gender questioning and not really sure where you lie.
And that's when you go and seek professional help.
Some people may want a little more science than psychology. I know it gets some flack.
We need a lot more science than psychology. So please, go ahead.
So, they looked at gender in the brains of rats. They added an enzyme called estradiol, and that inhibited DNA methyltransferase, which is to say it changed their DNA just a little bit, or it inhibited a way that DNA naturally changes. This caused a change in the gender of these rats. Now, they didn't go interview them, they observed them. So physically, these rats were female, say the researchers, but in their reproductive behavior, they behaved as males.
Wait a minute, you just said they changed gender, but they remained female. So they didn't change gender. All they did was give them the hormones that made them act more male. That's not a gender change.
That's the closest we can get to observing a gender change in animals. But if you look even further, their brains also structurally transformed. And this was after the sexual differentiation period had ended. So say like rat puberty. Normally that's when sexual differentiation would blossom. However, after that, it's thought to be set. And it turns out you can affect gender in rats by adding this enzyme.
So even after all that, they're still either male or female. They're not a different gender though, are they? They're not a third, fourth, fifth, sixth or seventh different gender, are they? It's still either male or female. And these rats are still fucking female.
To bring it to humans, gender also exists in our brains. MRI scans of transgender people who were in transition from male to female were compared to those of cis males and cis females. And the brains of the transitioned women were more akin to the gender that they transitioned to than the one that they were assigned at birth.
You know, that wouldn't even surprise me, to be honest. It makes sense, I'll give you that.
That is to say, they were born male, transitioned to female, and when they scanned their brains also looked female.
Yeah, I can actually buy that. But what would be interesting is to see what the brain scans are like before they start taking the hormone replacement pills. Because I'm sure that a trans person who's not undergone any sort of hormone replacement or any operations, their brains would probably be more like the gender that they were supposed to be rather than the one they were born as. So you've made some good points. However, you've failed to make any valid points on how or why there's more than two genders. So on that note, bye.